Hi, so in today's video, we are going to be talking about how to read faster. One of my friends asked me, how do I read so fast? Well, it is a lot of years of practice. However, there are some techniques that I have used so far, and I would like to show you those in this video. So one of the first things is that when we read, we usually read every word in our head. So for this sentence, does anyone live there now? So what you are doing is you are reading every one of the words aloud in your head. However, when you see a word, suppose I only gave you just a second to see this word, and then you would actually be able to recognize it and know its meaning even if you do not pronounce the word in your head. So that is the thing that all of us do. I do this to this day as well. However, I have tried to minimize it so far. So what you do is when you are reading the sentence, you just try to recognize the word and not say it in your head. So I saw the next sentence and I understood what it said, even though I was not pronouncing everything in my head. You don't need to say aloud everything in your head. Suppose you see an apple, you don't have to say this is an apple to know that is an apple. So same thing with words. You have to practice recognizing the words and their meaning and not focus so much on pronouncing it in your head. So the next step is that when you see a sentence, what you can do is you can cluster the words together. So for this sentence, which is fairly short, it has 3 words in it. It says, where is it? So you do not have to see it. When you're reading and you're seeing the page, you do not have to cluster it. You don't have to separate it, that this is a word, this is a word, this is a word. You say it all together. So whenever I'm going through this sentence, which is larger than this one, what I'm doing is I'm separating it into few chunks. So they walked in, between also comes in. So they walked in between the tall pine trees at first, but soon they. So I'm clustering the words together because when you are running your eyes through the page, what you are doing is that you don't have to stop at every individual word. What you do is, because what our eyes actually do, they do not move so smoothly from this word to this like this. They stop at each one. So what we are going to do over here is that we are going to cluster the words together and see it at one time. So I see this part at once, this part at once, and then this part at once. This is actually going to increase your efficiency, even though it does not seem like it, but try it. And yes, this is going to take a lot of practice. For this example, the postcards, you do not have to separate it because your brain has that capacity to cluster 2 words together. So now what I'm asking you to do is cluster 3 or cluster 4 words together. When you see over here Sophie's world, you do not have to see those two separately. Sophie's, then world. You cluster them together, you see it at once. And now for the final tip for reading a book is that when we read, we are actually not reading fast enough. This is something that I found out in my own research on how to read faster. I saw a video which was about world's fastest readers and learning from them. So one of the tricks that stood out to me is that whenever we are reading, our mind usually wanders off. We think about something else and then we are gone for a minute or two and then we forgot whatever we were reading about. So that is basically because you are not engaging your brain enough. You are not challenging your brain enough. It could seem like you have to read the words slowly to understand them. However, your brain needs to be focused, and for that, what you have to do is to read faster. So when you read too much faster, you would automatically understand that you are going too fast. You just have to slow down a little bit. However, do not slow down completely because then your mind has the chance to wander off. And that is what we are trying to eliminate over here. And you would be reading as fast as you can. As far that is how you keep your brain in the task that you want to keep it in. And the other thing over here to notice is that when you read something very fast and you understand something, so suppose for this paragraph, when I'm reading it and I missed a sentence, it is most likely the case that even if you read the second time, it would not be as though you have totally missed the point. You did understand it, however, it I mean, if you had to read a sentence for the second time, which I do a lot, but it is redundant in the end and it does not significantly contribute to the final result. So you can also choose to skip that, because if it is not very major for an examination where you are going to be tested on memorization and every of the words, you can just skip ahead and still be fine. And now for using digital media. So in this case, what we are going to be doing is that you are going to find out which font works for you, which font size works for you. So you can actually zoom in or out and see at which size your eyes are most comfortable. So smaller size means that you would be able to cluster words together and read a line significantly quicker without moving your eyes much or straining your eyes much. And that is also like that has a correlation with your speed. However, in those cases, if it is too small, your eyes would start to hurt, because obviously smaller fonts are not that much good for our brain. You have to like focus a lot and spend a lot of I think mental energy to focus. So in the end, you have to find the right size, and if it's too big, then you would actually miss out on clustering the words together. And the final tip that I'm going to be giving you is that find out which media works best for you. You do not have to be stuck with hard copper, you do not have to be stuck with paperback books or just digital media. Whichever works best for you, you should focus on that. So for me, what I have found is that when I was practicing initially speed reading, what I did was I did it on my laptop. So now whenever I'm reading a PDF on my laptop, I'm able to do it much faster than if it was a book, it was in print, because the font sizes are very different. So the books usually have a smaller font size that I'm not used to, and it takes a lot of energy to focus on it and also strains my mind a bit. It requires a lot of focus and energy, and usually when I'm speed reading, it makes the text more condensed than what I have practiced with. So whatever you're going to practice with is going to grow on you. And what you want to do over here is that try with different mediums and see which one works for you, and then try to enhance your skills on that one. And now, one thing I actually forgot to tell you is that you should have something to point out the text to you. So when we are reading with just our eyes, like eyes, and you have your eyes on the paper, what is happening is that your eye has to follow along every word on its own. But however, if you have a pen with you, then what you can do is you can guide your eyes through the text, which is actually very efficient. I have also tried it. So as I said, I actually prefer my laptop. So what I do is I use my cursor, and usually I don't I use my cursor like from left to right entirely. I just I stop here for a sec, then here for a second, then here for a second, and then I move on like that. It is this. This would be the equivalent of on paper. But yes, this is something that I have found out also works for me, and you could also give it a try. And with that, I would like to end this video. I hope it was helpful, because I actually practice a lot on my own, and this is what I have found to work out for me, and I believe this would also be helpful for you. So And if you have an idea on which things I should make my next video on, please let me know in the comments. I have not had any requests so far other than my friend. And yes, thank you. That would be all for this one. I would like to see you in the next one. Bye bye.